Hey everybody, it's Addie, and this is my fifth book of the year. Excuse me, have a little cough. But like I said last week, was going to read, and I did. I read the book called Type R, and it was actually written by a mother and daughter, which is super cool. So it was written by Emma and Stephanie Marston, and the basis of this book is about this concept that they called having the type R, not gene, but personality, I guess. And type R really stands for transformative resiliency. And so it's the ability to use challenges that come your way and then not only overcome those challenges, but take them and see them as opportunities for growth. So it's about transforming in a turbulent world. So I'm going to go ahead and read the little inscription in the middle or in the front of the book. I'm sorry. And then I'm going to go into what I liked about it. Forget type A's and B's. The future lies with type R's. The resilient individuals, leaders, businesses, families, and communities who turn challenges into opportunities in times of upheaval, crisis, and change. In Type R, Emma Marston and Stephanie Marston explore transformative resilience and the strategies of those who use difficult circumstances as catalysts for growth, springing forward rather than bouncing back during turbulent times. Here, Emma and Stephanie share inspiring stories of Type R's thriving during unprecedented world events and increasing global pressures, from climate change to financial crisis. They share the individual and collective triumphs of people coping with the stress of daily life and the challenges and disruptions that rattle all our lives at some point. They draw upon research that spans the personal and the professional, the local and the global. Reaching across psychology, neuroscience, business, and politics, Type R demonstrates how we can use challenges to innovate, create new strengths, and grow. Type R also teaches leaders, businesses, and organizations how to cultivate critical Type R vision and culture, which is essential for navigating and thriving in a disruptive change. This thought-provoking book proves that there is much we can learn from those who use change, stress, and adversity as springboards to progress in a chaotic world. So that is a descriptor of this book, and it was, excuse me, it was about 214 pages. And to be honest, I just finished it today. I literally read, it was like 100 pages today because all week I've been like crazy busy with schoolwork. But I finished it, and I stayed with my goal with doing one book a week. And honestly, it's getting a little bit hard with my schedule, but I'm still going to do it because that's what I committed to. And so I feel like this book was really validation for how I've been feeling about things, and just talking about going through adversity. And they gave so many examples in this book of different people that overcame different situations, like they said, in businesses and families and relationships, just having the Type R vision and that mindset of being able to come across something that's difficult and take it and turn it into an opportunity and grow and learn from it, not just, crumble under the weight of pressure. And not to say that there aren't times where we don't face pressure and we don't handle it well. Like, that obviously happens. Like, nobody's perfect. But Type R people really see the challenges that come their way, and instead of getting flustered or frustrated, they kind of take a more creative route and see, how can I improve, or how can I learn from this, or they kind of sit with that. And so I thought that was really cool, kind of building upon Brené Brown and some of the other books I've been reading. And so, excuse me, my throat this week. A couple things from the book that really stuck out to me is this concept of emotional hygiene. And if you don't know what emotional hygiene is, in the book it's talking about that emotional hygiene involves reining in negative feelings such as anger, frustration, fear, shame, and envy, which impede progress and positive reframing. And so basically it's learning how you react to certain things, and learning how to take care of your emotional state, and not be so reactive to things. And so I think what they're saying is that when we go through turbulent times, it's important to be aware of our emotions. Like, what comes up for you when your parents got divorced, or you are getting kicked out of your house, or someone just died, or I don't know, you're feeling the time crunch of writing a paper like I was this week. But what feelings come up for you when those turbulent times are happening of crisis? Do you regress? Do you try to avoid it? Do you get frustrated, angry? Do you try to self-medicate? What do you do? So people with transformative resiliency are more aware of their emotional hygiene. And I know, as someone who's an INFP, if you don't know what that is, that's one of the personality types, introvert, I forgot the other ones, but F is feeler. I'm a very emotional person. And so when things come my way, when struggles come my way, I'm more, and it's not necessarily externally, but internally, I'm like, oh my gosh, everything's going on. I don't know how to handle it. And so I'll feel those internal emotional feelings instead of kind of putting them in check and then facing what's in front of me. And so I'm learning to be more action-oriented and more active in my response to things. And so I think that's kind of beautiful about this book, is it kind of highlights that. And it said one of the biggest challenges of emotional hygiene is avoiding rumination. So rumination is, sitting with something and just thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And I used to kind of do this a lot just because I process things internally, and that comes natural to me. So I would sit when something happened and be like, oh, okay, how do I process this? Like, I think about it, like, this is hard. And it wouldn't even be productive. It'd just be horrible. So learning how to break that and just take action is something that really transforms how you react in difficult situations. And so I think that's the main part I'm going to share, because to be honest, I read this book really fast in a short amount of time. And I feel like if I read this, if I read it within the whole week and like really took my time, I probably would have absorbed some of it better. But I was trying to finish it quickly. But just the emotional hygiene part was important for me, because that's something I need to check and take care of constantly. And so that was the main point of the book. And so I would rate this book, as far as me reading it that quickly and everything, I'd rate it a 7. There were parts of the book, I don't know if that's probably because I was rushing, that kind of felt like I'm reading a textbook and I'm learning all this new terminology and stuff. And the case studies were really interesting. And so I think if I took my time with it, it'd probably be like an 8.5. But just as far as my first read through, that it was a 7. It's a really good book. It's a very solid book for someone who's not aware of their emotions, not aware of how they handle crisis, because crisis comes in our lives whether we want it or not. It just happens. And so I think it is important, at least this book highlights, how do you handle crisis when it comes your way? Are you action-oriented? Do you take it head-on, or is it something that you just pull back from, like that fight or flight thing? And so I feel like that's really important from this book. And I think it was a crazy week, you guys, but it was definitely a good book. And it's definitely going to be within my little collection of self-development. And probably at a later time, maybe in the summer, I'm going to go back and actually sit with it a little bit longer and let that sink in. But it was a great book. There's a lot of good case studies. So I would recommend it. Like I said, a 7 for now, but that's good for me. That's still really good. And so that's this week. So we're done. And even though I'm still busy, I'm still going to read, and I'm going to try to get better at reading consistently. So reading a certain amount of pages a day, rather than like, oh, she didn't finish the book this week, and then Saturday and Sunday I'm like reading like half the book. That's literally what happened. But I'm a fast reader, so that's something I got to break to, is learning to digest things in increments, not just like get through the book because I want to get more out of it. So next week, let me grab it. I'm actually, and this book is bigger than this one. So pray for me because there's going to be a lot going on. But the book I'm reading this next coming up week is called Broken by William Cope Moyers and with Catherine Ketchum. And so it's called Broken, My Story of Addiction and Redemption. And so I'm taking a substance use treatment class this semester. And part of that class is for us to read an autobiography about someone who struggled with addiction. And this book is like 348 pages. So I'm definitely going to bit by bit try to read it. It's part of the work I have to do this semester. So I thought, why not just pop it in with my reads? And so I can't wait to tell you all about this book next week. And if you have any questions or comments or concerns about me, drop them in the comments below. And I just kind of wanted to say that as I'm doing this, this is less about me being on camera and sharing the books with you. It's more about me documenting my personal challenge of reading these books. And so part of that's being honest about how I read those books. So that's why I thought it was important to say that I rushed reading this book, and that's how my experience was, just so that you'll have full context of my reviews, that you don't take it all for as if it's your own opinion. I would definitely say go and read the books on your own. Yeah, form your own opinion about them. If you have a different opinion, that's awesome. I'd love to talk to you about it. But as always, that's it. And I hope you guys have a great evening, and thank you for watching.